Reese, well, what I was getting to with Alyssa Thomas is if you're telling me Alyssa Thomas is the number 2 player in the WNBA, I'm telling you that the WNBA is unwatchable. There's no talent in the league. So don't tell me that. Anybody who knows basketball will look at Alyssa Thomas and say, okay, yeah, if this is a top 5 player in the league, then there's no reason whatsoever to be watching this league. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
To Reese's credit, she seems fully aware of how much attention this issue gets. During her post-game comments, she basically admitted that when her shot is not falling, she has to lean on defense, rebounding, and hustle to still impact the game. That honesty matters because fans are usually willing to accept flaws when players show accountability instead of acting like the criticism does not exist. But accountability alone will not stop opposing defenses from attacking the weakness. And that is exactly why comparisons to Kiki Iriefin continue to surface. Whenever basketball fans compare the two players, the difference in finishing ability becomes obvious almost instantly. Kiki attacks the basket with confidence, balance, and control. Her footwork looks smooth, her timing feels natural, and when she gets close to the rim, people genuinely expect the shot to fall. With Reese, there's often a sense of hesitation because the outcome can feel unpredictable. Point 1 sequence against Minnesota perfectly highlighted the problem. Reese gained strong inside position near the baseline and had a chance to spin into a cleaner finish. But instead of taking advantage of the angle available to her, the shot attempt came awkwardly through traffic and bounced off the rim again. It was a kind of play that drives coaches crazy because the opening was clearly there. The footwork, touch, and finish just never connected the way they needed to.
Now, when I look at the Atlanta Dream, I don't feel as confident as I felt from the initial announcement that Angel Reese is moving to Atlanta. I felt like I wasn't seeing the fuller picture because I didn't realize that Bree Jones would be coming back off of a meniscus tear, which I believe happened in February. I know that injury takes some time to rehab. That's several months. So when we look at it, it's just going to be Angel Reese and Naz Hillman, which Angel Reese is reportedly 6'4" now, so that gives her an extra inch. But I don't think it solves the big conundrum that Atlanta.
And that distinction matters because offensive skill refinement can improve over time. Plenty of professional players enter the league with major weaknesses before eventually developing into far more polished and complete versions of themselves. The challenge for Reese is that the WNBA is evolving quickly, and patience becomes harder to maintain when younger players are arriving already looking offensively refined from day one. That reality becomes even tougher when comparing Reese to players like Kiki Iriefin, who already appears more advanced offensively despite being earlier in her professional career. Kiki's efficiency around the rim immediately stands out because her movements look decisive and controlled. Basketball can be brutally unforgiving in those situations because hesitation destroys touch. The moment doubt creeps into a player's mind, the rim suddenly starts feeling much smaller. And there is no denying the pressure surrounding Angel Reese right now. Every game becomes a national conversation. Every stat line gets analyzed from every angle. Every mistake spreads across social media within minutes. Very few WNBA players deal with the same level of nonstop scrutiny she faces on a daily basis. Some critics attack her unfairly because of her popularity, while others defend her so aggressively that even fair basketball criticism instantly turns into a massive online debate.
Yesterday I was going to be watching the Atlanta Dream versus Chicago Sky. Decent game. Starters were on the bench for Atlanta Dream. They all played about 11, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, something like that. I was really watching for Angel Reese. As far as the Chicago Sky goes, Skylar Diggins wasn't playing. Haley Van Lith was decent. Camilla did not have a good game at all, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Kia Jackson didn't have a good shooting game either. The Atlanta Dream won. As I figured they would win.
That creates a strange reality around her career. If she records another double-double, supporters praise her dominance and nonstop energy. But if she misses multiple layups, critics instantly flood social media with clips, screenshots, and memes. The truth is, both realities can exist at the same time. And that is exactly why Angel Reese remains one of the most fascinating players in women's basketball today. Because despite all the criticism, she still finds ways to produce. That is a remarkable part. Even in games where the offensive struggles become impossible to ignore, Reese somehow finishes with massive rebounding numbers and game-changing defensive plays. Against Minnesota, she pulled down 14 rebounds, protected the rim effectively, and helped Atlanta secure a win. There are plenty of players who would love to impact winning the way Reese already does, even without having a polished offensive game. That is why teams continue believing in her long-term potential. Because if the finishing around the basket ever catches up to the rest of her game, everything changes. Suddenly, those rebounds become immediate putbacks instead of multiple attempts. Suddenly, all that effort becomes even more dangerous because the efficiency finally matches the intensity. And that version of Angel Reese could genuinely take over games.
Every game in order for Atlanta to be successful, although there were other players that had standout type of nights, I think that it's going to work better when they have bigs that can produce. Bree Jones is a hard hit to take for the majority of the season. That's what I'm assuming. And then you have Angel Reese, who's still working on some of the little things, her touch around the rim. Just in this preseason game, I didn't see improvement on where she's releasing from on that layup, which is going to cause issues. The bright spot for her is that she's a decent free throw shooter. She's about a 75% free throw shooter. Because she's shooting so low, the defender's trying to go through her body and they foul her a lot of the times, and she's able to convert 75% of the time.
But until that improvement happens, the conversation about her finishing struggles is going to follow her everywhere. It also does not help that the internet can be absolutely ruthless when a player develops a repetitive weakness. Fans online have already turned Reese's missed layups into recurring jokes and viral memes. Some sports betting accounts even build a reputation around predicting she would miss her first shot of the game, which is an unbelievable level of disrespect toward a professional athlete. One viral edit even replaced her with a cartoon brick after another missed layup sequence, perfectly showing how brutal modern sports culture online has become. And unfortunately, once the internet locks a reputation onto a player, escaping it becomes extremely difficult. Every missed layup only strengthens a narrative further. Right now, that narrative says Angel Reese dominates almost every part of the game except the actual moment the basketball is supposed to go through the hoop. The first time you see it happen, it almost feels impossible to believe. But there's another side to the story that deserves recognition too. Reese never stops competing. Even after ugly misses or frustrating possessions, she keeps crashing the boards, hustling back on defense, and battling through every moment with visible emotion, energy, and intensity.
As you'd probably expect in most exhibitions, there was a lot of good things, and then there's also a lot of things that need to be cleaned up. And that's why these things are so important. You get to go against somebody else who's doing different stuff, and then you get to go watch the film and start making the corrections. And, I thought, Rye had a really good beginning of the game. Obviously we only played her about 10 minutes. I thought Angel's impact was felt on nearly every possession. And then Powell, we had her, she played a lot of.
Some players mentally fade away after offensive struggles. Reese does the opposite. She keeps attacking. Sometimes that aggressiveness leads to even more mistakes, but also explains why coaches and teammates continue believing in her so strongly. That mentality matters over the course of a long season. And honestly, that resilience could eventually become the reason she improves offensively. Because the easiest thing for a player facing this level of nonstop scrutiny would be to become passive and lose confidence. Reese has not done that. She still attacks the rim aggressively despite knowing every missed layup could instantly become tomorrow's viral sports clip. At the same time, improvement still has to come through better touch, footwork, and control through contact. Otherwise, these same conversations will continue repeating year after year. And right now, the discussion only gets louder as players like Kiki Irefin continue rising alongside her. The comparisons between Reese and Kiki are starting to feel impossible to avoid because both players bring toughness, rebounding, and physicality to the floor. But offensively, their styles look completely different. Kiki appears smoother, calmer, and more natural around the basket, while Reese often relies on raw effort and strength to create opportunities. And during head-to-head moments, that contrast becomes impossible to miss. Fans notice every detail.